Well, hello again. Welcome to Intrinsic Truth. I have another interesting quote from Ellen White I'd like to consider today. This is taken from one of her books that she wrote. And so this is actually taken from Health and How to Live, particularly page 114. Now, what is important is the actual advice that Ellen White gives. Here's a quote. Fathers, as well as mothers, and all those with whom a mother may associate are involved in this responsibility. The father should remember that his manner and treatment of his wife during her pregnancy has much to do with the disposition she may possess during that period. He should be careful to remove, so far as possible, every source, real or imaginary, of uneasiness, unhappiness, peevishness, or gloominess from her way. He, meaning the father here, should take pains to make her happy and cheerful, and see that every appetite which comes up is, if possible, forthwith gratified. If that appetite, now this is the important sentence here, if that appetite should be for strong drink, in Ellen White's language, this is alcoholic drink, it had better be gratified to the full, rather than that she give by that continued longing and indelible imprint of that kind upon her offspring. What Ellen White is saying is clear. Satisfy her desire for a strong drink, because if she keeps missing that drink, it will somehow impact the baby, and the baby will inherit those tendencies of wanting that strong drink. I don't know. In fact, I know for sure that science completely disagrees with something like this. And which mother in her right mind would want to drink herself till she cannot get up when she's pregnant? This is somebody who's just not thinking. Well, I believe Ellen White has actually borrowed this from someone. You see, Ellen White read books around her, and I believe she was not inspired by God. She was actually inspired by other authors. Now, here's a quote from L.B. Coles, who was a philosopher, and this is what he says in one of his books. He should take pains to make her happy and cheerful, and see that every appetite which comes up is, if possible, forthwith gratified. If that appetite should be for strong drink, it had better be gratified to the full, rather than that she give by that continual longing an indelible imprint of that kind upon her offspring. Once again, clearly Ellen White has borrowed those words. There is no doubt in my mind that this is what she does. She's simply copying. She's stealing somebody else's ideas, and I don't think she's even thinking about what is it she's doing. Now, what she wrote in her Health and How to Live section here, she wrote it in 1865. Now, I want you to see what is it that Ellen White actually wrote in 1905. That's 40 years later. She says the following. Many advisors urge that every wish of the mother should be gratified, that if she should desire any article of food, however harmful, she should freely indulge her appetite. Such advice is false and mischievous. I do not know about you, but I see clearly here a contradiction in term. I'm glad that she actually corrected herself, but my goodness, how can you say that this is inspiration? This is confusion. This is pretty much Babylon. How can she even say that some even suggest something like this? Well, she's the one who just suggested this. This is exactly what she says. Some advisors urge that every wish should be gratified by the mother. Some advisors? She must be talking about herself. To me, she is clearly contradicting herself. I invite you to read her writings more carefully and notice what is it that she's saying, instead of just simply repeating that Ellen White is inspired of God. I cannot see this. I simply cannot accept an advice like this. If we're to accept Ellen White as inspiration, as inspired by God, then both of these quotes would have to be inspired. This is simply an impossibility. Thank you again, and have a wonderful day and the rest of your evening.